I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustees meeting for November 8th at 6:32 p.m. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have roll call.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Dan Green.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling.
Here.
Nancy Moon.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Ann Rose.
Here.
Chris Schall. Here.
Here. All right. I'll accept a motion for approval of the agenda. So moved.
I move that we approve the agenda with the addition of a number 5 third quarter review.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone's on it today.
We're adding an agenda item number 5, the third quarter review, which
Under
had not
regular
come,
business.
which did not come in last month sometime. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as amended.
Amended, yes.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public.
I'll speak on behalf of the Friends. They're holding their holiday boutique and book sale Saturday, December 4th from 10 to 3 p.m.
I'm sorry, what was the date again?
Saturday, December 4th.
Is that going to be in here?
Yes,
I'm sorry, what was the hours again, 10 to 4?
10 to 3
10 to 3. So in the meeting room,
in the meeting room, yes.
and I think it's more of a boutique.
Yes, it's a holiday boutique.
There's always some fun goodies at the holiday boutique.
Right. Giftable items.
Yeah, you do quite well at the last one, right? They do very well for a one-day sale.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll match their outside,
Oh, no.
you know, one-day summer show, but
So that will be Saturday, December 4th,
4th, 10 to 3
here.
in this room.
All right, we will close the call to the public. I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Dan has moved and Dan has seconded the consent agenda. We have 5 items. Does anybody wish to consider anything individually? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Library statistics.
Okay, so Bill wanted me to make sure that I point out to you that we haven't had an increase in visitors over last month. So we are starting to see people coming back into the library again, so feeling more comfortable. Between September and October, we went from 5,463 in September to 5,959. Our monthly average is still 4,045, but we are getting back up there, which is nice. That was the main one he wanted me to point out. Circulation is still doing well, both the total circulations and also our downloads. Downloads are at 5542, which is a nice high number as well. So.
It's certainly a difference from January.
It is. It is. We're finally starting to see us bounce back, which is good.
School's back, you can see the study room with usage is going up.
It definitely is. And we're seeing the business center being used during the afternoon for group study and things like that, which is really nice.
Any other comments or questions? So we have 3 pages of statistics. Okay, thank you. Library Director's Report.
In terms of general update, on October 13th and 14th, the Michigan Library Association held its annual conference in a virtual format. While we are looking forward to a time when these networking opportunities take place in person, the virtual format allows more staff to be able to attend. This year we had 9 employees that were able to take advantage of this learning opportunity and then shared what they learned with the rest of the staff at our all staff meetings. We have spent the last few weeks interviewing for a full-time information librarian and full-time school outreach librarian positions. While we haven't had as many applicants as we have had in the past, we are attracting good candidates. We're pleased about that. We're looking forward to expanding our staff to better serve the community. It's just not a board meeting if I don't talk about fire suppression. So absolute fire protection was in the building last week, completing the upgrades to the fire suppression system that were recommended during our most recent fire inspection and were approved by the board. One of the improvements that was made was a gauge and an audible alarm, as well as a connection to our fire alarm system to alert us when the pressure in the system is too low. Hopefully this will allow us to prevent an inadvertent arming of the system, which incurs the cost of having the pipes drained and reset. Other updates included the replacement of important control valves, which I must say I'm very excited about, because the last time I had to turn them off, I had a heck of a time getting those valves turned. So I'm excited that those valves will be easier. In terms of collaborations, at their membership meeting on October 21st, the Friends reviewed and approved the library staff's fall wish list. Projects on this list included funding for programming for adults, the initial funding for a CID library, Battle of the Books, summer reading, book buzz, and the library's first ever trunk or treat event. The total funding came to $13,700. Thank you to our hardworking friends for this wonderful support. And on October 29th, with funding from the Friends of the Library, we held our first ever Boo-a-Palooza trunk or treat event. Businesses, friends, and staff decorated their vehicles, trunks to pass out treats to costumed kids. A local food truck handed out cider and freshly made donuts. The Cookie Mouse from the popular children's book If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Lauren Dumerow was handing out cookies. The Friends of the Library gave away children's books. Families could bring canned goods to donate to Lighthouse North. The staff painted pumpkins and attendees could vote for their favorite. Prizes were awarded for the best trunk and the favorite pumpkin. Despite the rainy weather, we estimate that there were probably about 300 kids and their families. Within just a few days, we were receiving calls from people wanting to host a trunk next year. This event was a huge success. Thank you to the Friends for the support and everyone who pitched in to make it such a fun event.
And it was reasonably warm.
It was reasonably
Rainy
warm.
but warm.
About the very
Yeah,
end.
just wet.
It was very wet.
That helps a lot.
So 300 kids, that's a good turnout.
There was a lot of
There were a lot of kids. We were surprised how much turnout. It was funny, the last 2 hours before we closed, we kept getting phone calls, and people kept saying, is this inside or outside? And I couldn't determine if they wanted it to be inside because it was raining, or if they wanted it to be outside because they thought that would feel safer. But I just kept saying, well, we're in Michigan, so we're sturdy folks. We're going to be outside. Bring your umbrella and your boots. And they did. So.
There were some really cute kids.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And trunk or treating on Sunday was pretty strong too,
It-
in the city and in the township.
Yeah.
And it was partially raining during some of that time too.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to people in Waterford who had like one person, one child come to their dark.
Oh my.
We weren't home this year. Normally we are. Normally we get maybe 20 kids at tops. But a lot of people that I knew in Waterford, and I don't know what it was like in Pontiac. We were at my mother's, but we left just about the time they were starting. So
Going out.
We lived in Waterford. Our neighborhood was pretty much out in full force. There were a lot of kids out there.
And they were decorated regardless of size.
Yeah.
So I thought that
With
was
our little umbrella.
Maybe. All right, on to regular business. Number 1.
Okay. At the October 11th meeting, the library board approved the posting of the full-time information librarian position. The selection committee consisted of Marilyn Pomeroy, Evan Smale, and Julie Meredith. We received 10 applications, including 2 internal candidates. After a thorough review of the entire candidate pool, we interviewed the 2 internal candidates. Thomas Mackey has been a part-time librarian at our library for 4 years. He has demonstrated strong skills as a desk librarian, as well as creativity and flexibility in programming by coordinating gaming events and leading the morning book group. He has familiarity with our collections, resources, and community. He has shown resilience and loyalty to CID all through the pandemic. In his interview, he made it clear that he loves his job here and would like to do more of it. as a full-time team member. This position will be an anchor for our information desk, and he is excited about the leadership aspect of this role in ensuring that all the librarians working at our information desk are familiar with and feel confident using and demonstrating the variety of resources we offer. The selection committee recommends Thomas Mackey to be CIDL's new full-time information librarian. Based on the wages of the other staff and Tom's experience, we recommend a salary of $48,000. Because we have had some vacant positions in recent months, our 2021 full-time wages line item is actually under budget. The recommended wage can be accommodated by the current budget. The 2022 budget has been written to accommodate this new position at the salary level.
Any questions or comments? That was good. Thank you. And it's always nice when you have someone that has been working with us for several years, so you know the personality and the reliability of your candidate. So we were very pleased.
It helps with the learning curve too.
It's not, although desk duty is a primary, reference duty is a primary job in libraries, but not everyone takes to it with the same degree of enthusiasm. So he really likes the solving problem.
I go to the to our library book group in the morning, and I'm very impressed with his way of managing, the group of people and contributing to the overall way it works out that everyone has a way to speak and to be respected. It's very nice.
That is a big book group too.
Yeah, that's really nice. Second one that I've been to is now that we've had it in person.
Okay, I will accept a motion.
I'll move that we appoint Thomas Mackey with a salary of $48,000 and the standard benefits package of a full-time employee with the date of hire to this position of November 29th.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Thomas Mackey with a salary of $48,000 and standard benefits of a full-time employee with the date of hire for November 29th. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Thank you. You'll be very excited.
And his packet is in your packet.
Yes. Yeah, that's all
All right, number 2.
Okay, this is the review and approval of a quote for new doors for the shed. In 2019, in collaboration with the Clarkston Community Schools construction trades class, the library built a storage shed. At the time, a fiberglass double door from Pella was installed. Unfortunately, this door has not held up. Only 2 years later, it was discovered that the wooden core of the door is rotting. Pella was contacted. They were willing to stand behind the product, but this particular door is no longer in production. So instead of providing a replacement solution, they provided the library with a full refund of $2,328.80, and the documentation of that is included. Now the door needs to be replaced, so the facilities coordinator contacted 2 other door companies for quotes. One quote came from Mammoth Doors, provided a quote for a fiberglass double door similar to the current door. The other quote came from Motor City Door for a basic steel double door that is more similar to the exterior double door in the delivery room. After much discussion, we are recommending replacing the shed door with the steel door from Motor City Door. While it is a more expensive solution, we have experience with this type of door as well as the company doing installation. After depositing the refund from the original door into line 975, a balance of $3,604 will be needed to cover the cost of the new door. There is enough funding remaining in undesignated revenue. There's currently $20,887 in that line to accommodate this additional cost by making a budget adjustment into line 975.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
I think going with the stronger door, especially since we're already used to that type of door.
We are discovering that based on the way the weather patterns are on the property, that door takes more of a beating than we thought it was going to.
Apparently.
Apparently.
And so replacing it with the same kind of a door didn't really make a lot of sense.
No, and then when you go up to the next level of door, you're talking about a much more significant door.
Right, yeah.
So,
Okay, I will accept the motion.
Well, I move we approve the quote for the steel double door for Motor City Door and approve a budget adjustment of $3,604 from undesignated revenue to line 975 to complete the project.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the quote for the steel double door for Motor City Door, approve the budget adjustment of $3,604 from undesignated revenue to line item 975, the building, to complete the project. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Number 3, the review of the Employee Assistance Program 6-month report,
okay.
which is the nice graph in our package.
Yes, it is. It was handed out separately. In 2020, the global pandemic put a direct spotlight on the importance of normalizing conversations about mental health. In support of employee well-being, a formal employee assistance program known as an EAP was written into the 2021 budget. Alliance, based in Troy, Michigan, was selected, and their 1 to 5 fixed visit plan covering all full-time and part-time employees, library board members, and dependents was put in place. Alliance provides reports on usage while still protecting the privacy of the staff, allowing us to evaluate the value of offering this service. And I will go over that report that was given to me by our Alliance rep. So, essentially, what he is seeing is that our service is actually getting used quite a bit. He was really impressed that in the first 6 months of the year, it had been used significantly. And he did want to point out on the second page of the graph that how people were finding it. 20% found it on their own with the information that had been provided initially. 15% had it recommended by a family member, which means that we do have family using it, which is part of the point. And then 40% found it from human resources, which means me. And what I have been doing in terms of human resources is every month I send out an email that includes just something. They have some really nice little handouts on, 10 ways to de-stress at your desk, or 3 ways to boost your morale, or how to incorporate positive thinking into your day, those kinds of things. And so each month I send out one of those handouts, and then I include all the information in the email about how to get a hold of our employee assistance program, and then also a video on what is included. So this is a really great service because not only is it a counseling service, but it is also a life coach service and an HR service. So in terms of life coach, the employees can call, and if they have a goal that they would like to reach, I want to walk more. They can call and make an appointment with a life coach who will help them set reasonable goals and help them make them accountable for those goals. And they will meet with them multiple times to make sure that they can get those incorporated into their life. So it's a really great service in that way as well. In terms of HR, there is also support for management that might be wanting to learn more about something in particular, how to write a good performance review or something along those lines. And if they're feeling like they could use some support as managers, they can call as employees, but they can also call as managers. The 1 to 5 visit program is 1 to 5 visits per whatever issue it is that you're calling about. So if you call because you feel like you need support with a relationship issue, you can have up to 5 sessions. And then if you decide you want to call a life coach about walking more, you can also do that, and that's 1 to 5 visits for that as well. So it's a really robust program, and the amount that it costs the library to cover all of this is based on the base number of people, and because we have a small staff, the base allows us to cover the families as well, which is really, really nice.
That's nice.
So, any questions about that?
Okay. I think I applaud Julie for
directing us to this, because there's no question that the last 24 months have been extremely taxing and toxic, and you can see that the repercussions of this whole disorganization, people are on edge, and it's a very difficult situation, not only for our immediate library family, but for all of their families.
Right.
So I think that's we try to be supportive of our staff throughout this.
I would also like to applaud the people that have taken advantage of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Because even given the confidentiality and all of that, sometimes people feel like that's still a risk. And these numbers are, I think, show that, people are, they know they need assistance with whatever, and they are asking for it and working towards it. So I think that's great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a really neat program, and I feel like we're trying to make it, we're normalizing it by making it something that just, we send it out every month and say, hey, this is a little interesting tidbit, by the way, this is how you get a hold of somebody if you need additional assistance of any kind. It includes, I didn't mention, but it includes financial and legal consulting as well, if you need some assistance in that regard as well. So it's really robust. So it's a great program. I'm really pleased. And our rep was very impressed by how quickly our employees took to it. He thought it was, usually it starts out kind of slow, and then you see it grow a little bit, and then it kind of drops off when people forget about it. But he said it's obvious that you're getting that information out there on a regular basis, because not only did it get used right away, but it's continuing to get used.
That's great.
So,
Good.
I mean, if we're going to invest in it, I feel it's my responsibility to make sure that the staff remembers, and we have had some turnover in staff, so I think on a monthly basis is a good way to do that.
It is helpful every month, because like you might have different things going on, and then you forget about it, and she says, oh, I could use this for something else,
Yeah, I think the reminders are good. Do they plan to review every 6 months?
They do, so we should get another report at the end of the year.
When do we need to make a decision about continuing the service?
I've gone ahead and written it into the budget just based on the first 6 months. It's a reasonable price. It easily fits into the budget, but I wanted to give you, before we talked about it at the budget workshop, I wanted to give you some feedback so that you know that this is not money just being thrown away at nothing. This is one of the things that the rep said is some companies just invest in it and then don't tell anybody about it, and so they feel like they're, giving it lip service but not really doing anything. And he said it's obvious that you feel that it's important enough to send it out on a regular basis because your people are using it. So
Excellent.
And that helps normalize it too.
Mhm.
Help, all of it.
Absolutely. And I've got some really positive feedback from some staff members who've come and said, I've used it and I love it. So.
Excellent. Which is a great segue into number 4, setting a date for the budget workshop. So I hope everyone brought their calendars.
So just as an initial quick look, I know we tend to like Monday nights. And so I looked ahead, and it looks like November 29th could possibly be a good time to do that. Or if we wanted to take a different.
It's the week after Thanksgiving.
Does that sound okay to everybody?
It might be a wee bit tight.
Is it too tight?
It depends on whether anyone is traveling, but if they're not,
I'm not going anywhere.
If you'd rather push it back, I can definitely do that as well. Would you want a different night of the week, or would you want to stick with Mondays? There were only a few options for Monday, let's put it that way. But if you were willing to look at a different night of the week, we could definitely do that.
Is that going to be tight for you, Marilyn? Are you not going to be here on the 30th?
no, I think we're going to Vermont for Thanksgiving, but we were planning on coming back on the 27th or 28th, so we should be here.
The only night of the week that's bad for me is Thursdays. Any other evening would be fine if anybody wanted to do a different evening. I can do the 29th, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I can do 29th also.
I can do 29.
Okay,
Do we like that? Is that okay?
okay.
Okay, all right.
What time do we want to do this?
Do you want to make it the same time as your usual meeting?
6:30?
I know that some people are available later in the evening. I don't want to make it too early. Is that okay?
Perfect for
That's
me.
perfect. Okay, so let's
For
do,
me. Okay.
let's do 6:30. I know on Monday, November 29th, I'll get that posted.
Okay.
We definitely could have done other options, but I kind of tried to guess based on what you usually like to pick a date. So maybe I actually hit the nail on the head for a change.
All right. So we have agreed on a budget workshop here on November 29th. This is open to the public, and it is a workshop meeting. Set the budget for 2022.
Yes, so what we will be doing at that meeting is just going over, rolling up the sleeves, going over budgets, all the details. You can ask nitty-gritty questions and things like that, and you can give me any feedback about changes you might like to see before we do the budget hearing, which will take place on the December 13th meeting, and we'll approve the budget at that meeting. So this is sort of a precursor to that.
Okay. Number 5, our third quarter
So
review.
the third quarter review, part of the reason it slipped off of my radar getting it onto the agenda this evening is because it did not get onto the meeting last month. We did not get the report until after the meeting. And then I sent you all a quick email reporting on a couple of things that had come up in that meeting. And then I forgot to put it on. So I felt like I had reported back to you, but I wanted to make sure that the public also heard. So in terms of the things that I wanted to call attention to, the full-time wages and the part-time wages, both of those are under budget, which I had mentioned at the meeting. They are more under budget than what I had mentioned at the meeting because we were talking about the numbers from the second quarter report when we talked last month. So the amount here, the corrections that you made and the additional positions that you added last month, we were thinking, you know, would we need a budget adjustment? No, we do not need to make any budget adjustments based on the vacancies that we've had and the length of time that we've had some positions vacant. We're in good shape budget-wise. And then also just to allay any concerns in the writing of the 2022 budget, I'm not having any trouble fitting all of that in, so we're in good shape. So on the next page, the accountant highlighted a couple of things. One of the things that she called attention to was the audit. There's just a small amount of money left in that audit line, 807. But that is completely paid off, so there is no need to add any additional funding to that. She wanted me to point out the professional and contract services line, which is a line we sometimes struggle with, it's the 818 line. We are, if you look at column B, where it's how much we've spent, or how much you should have spent within 9 months if you are spending evenly on a monthly basis. And what we've actually spent is about $10,000 less than what we would have. So we're in good shape with that line. That's one that we usually try to keep a pretty close eye on. The telephone line item 853, we're a smidgen further along in that budget than we normally are. We're at the 9-month mark of 4,125, and we're at 4,678. I called attention to that, and we think that there were some charges that were put in the wrong line item, so we're checking into that. We might end up needing to put a little bit of a budget adjustment to that line before the end of the year, but I think it would be fairly small if we do. Insurance, the next line item, that 910, she's got a couple of little stars next to that one because there's $5 left in that line item. That particular expenditure has been completed for the year. The reason there's only $5 left is because it's all paid for.
That's great. Doesn't like to have it come out just about even.
Just about even, yeah. Well, I'm getting better at this one. So the insurance one is a little bit tough because when it comes to insurance, we pay for the building liability insurance in 4 payments early in the year: January, February, March, and April. And then this is that Michigan Municipal Risk Management, which they have those pools of money that they use to pay out lawsuits and things like that. And that money is invested, and they let those pools get to a certain size. If the pools get too big, For example, in years that maybe they don't have as many lawsuits to pay or whatever, we get a rebate back. And a lot of times the rebate comes back and we put it right back in that line item and it balances out. So I've been trying really hard over the course of the last few years to kind of figure out where that sweet spot is so that we're not putting too much money in that line item and tying it up, knowing that that rebate is probably coming back. I've tried to do it conservatively so that I don't put us in a position where we're trying to pull money from someplace else. So. Water and sewer. There's a little star by that one as well, because we've paid nothing out for that this year. And she was like, what's going on with that? So we looked into it and discovered that the water department had been emailing the bill to a defunct email address, which we had some issues last year and we thought we had gotten it corrected. And so when we called them, we got it straightened out. So when we see the next report, you're going to see a big chunk. We're going to go from having paid zero to paying those missing bills. But apparently, in all of the COVID craziness, something happened to the emailed bills that they were not going to the right place. So we have straightened that out. Building and grounds maintenance is another one that the accountant always has us take a pretty close look at and keep an eye on, because a lot of times there's a lot of repairs and fire suppression and all these other things that come up that we aren't expecting. And thanks to Arlene keeping a really tight eye on that and the budget adjustments that we've made so far this year, we are actually doing really well for this part of the year. We should have been at, I think we're spending evenly at $79,133 and we're at $64,758. So we're in good shape there in terms of the amount that we've spent. Those are just the ones that, like I said, those are the ones that usually where we're making budget adjustments late in the year and we're doing very well this year. So, good shape. Any questions about any of that?
Clear. So we'll see if anything exciting happens between now and December.
So where we are in terms of these last steps as we approach the end of the year, usually what I do is I have at the December meeting the accountant do a year-to-date, so instead of a quarterly, we're going to get a year-to-date that is all the way till November 30th, everything we've spent, and that's when we go through and we try to clean it up and make sure that if there's anything that is potentially going over budget before December 31st, that we make those corrections right away. But I think we're in really good shape this year in terms of where we are. But we're keeping a close eye on everything. So. Okay. Any questions?
Our interest income in line 664. So we haven't made as much interest this year as we had hoped. Is that what the?
That is what that is saying.
Okay.
Yep.
Those numbers tend to have yo-yoed up and down too. September was particularly a poor month, which frequently it is.
Thank you.
We've done very well in state grants.
Yes, and that's one of the, that's one that I always budget a little bit low because we're not sure how much is going to come in. This year, for the coming year for 2022, the state's budget is including an increase in funding for libraries, which is really exciting. Those come in 2 payments, and as I said, I always suggest that we budget those for the equivalent of 1 payment, because if anything happens and they decide they're going to cut, what they do is they cut that second payment, you don't get the second payment. So I always budget a little bit low, but it's helpful that way when we get it as money that we already have instead of getting to the end of the year and thinking, okay, how are we going to fix this?
I know the legislature was talking about taking some monies that were generally sent to libraries and redistributing them to natural resources. And so I'm not sure where that stands. It's been discussed at the state level.
At this point, they are not doing that in terms of public libraries. So we're in good shape. There were some conversations about redirecting funding, and they're not doing that. So I think throughout COVID, it has become obvious that libraries do step up for those needs. That we became very creative and in terms of helping people, especially with Wi-Fi and other sorts of devices and things like that to accommodate the technology and assist the schools and things like that. That was seen as valuable, and that we had done a good job with that, so.
It also looks like we got a lot of people duplicating, making photocopies,
Yes.
more than double.
Yes, well, we kept it low, when I budgeted, I kept it low because at the time we were writing the budget, we were closed. So, and it was complicated to make duplicate, we were doing curbside duplication, but not a lot of people were taking advantage of it. So we budgeted it low. For 2022, we'll probably budget it back up a little bit higher because of course people can come into the building, so that's making things better.
Okay, any other comments or questions? I wouldn't want to do this. Thank you. I like to read it, I don't want to figure it out. All right, that is item number 5. We have no other items on the agenda for tonight. So unless there's a comment, I will accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:10. Thank you very much.